Hello, everybody. All right, so today is Wednesday, April the 3rd, 2020, 2024. So welcome to the Mikestand. I hope everybody's having a good week as we've reached the middle of the week, also known as hump day, so getting over the hump of the week, as it were. Um, about halfway through it, of course, and of course I have Rick Piper with me tonight as my co-host. We'll be looking at stories. Before we get into what we're going to be, before we get into the topics at hand, all that, I reminded everybody, if you haven't already, of course, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. With that, before we get started, Rick, would you like to do an intro? Did you hear me?
No, you're probably just giving because I'm trying to like and share and all that. When I get away from this, it does not good stuff. Cuts out on me.
Yeah.
But you're probably wanting me to say who I am and stuff like that. Well, of course, most people know I
Well,
am
first
Rick
off,
Piper
Tim just said
from
hello.
Us
Hello, Tim.
Comics as my little face. Hello. Hey, Tim.
And the elk is here as well.
Yeah,
Hail.
and I've got a couple YouTube channels. I'm going to share. Hey, Elk. I'm about to share a link to one of them. Which a post I just did, or I did a little earlier today. Uh, like hail, sleet, snow. That, of course, is a link to the latest Possible Music. Finally, we have a new character for Possible Music. It's the Flame with some music for him, Possible Music for him.
Hmm.
So that's good. It's something I did yesterday, and I'm gonna be. I'll have some more for him. I actually made some new ones for Canadian Shield and some new ones for Snowdrift too, as well, because Suno's actually updated some things, so their music is even sounding way better. So it's gonna be interesting, and I've used some of the old prompts for that. So, anyways, that is about it for the moment. I'll say for me. We can
All
get
right.
on with the show, as they.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get right into it. I'm glad we do have a bit of an audience because we're going to get right into stuff tonight as there was an article that was posted to Bounding into Comics in regards to the whole Ed Piscor situation. A little bit more detail. We're getting more details on what was going on in this article. So we're going to be running through that. And of course, by the end of the show, we'll also be doing, of course, the wrestling wrap up and this day in each history. So without any further ado, why don't we get right into the article then? As soon as I can find it. All right. Alrighty then. So here we go. And as always, guys, first off, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So now to the article. Following sexual misconduct accusations, X-Men Grand Design creator Ed Piscor passes away from apparent suicide. Quote, nobody against me would be convinced. Article by Spencer McCauley, published August 3rd, 2024. Now, I'm guessing the way he said that would be nobody would probably believe him anyways, because it's and we've talked a lot about this, how women are just given too much credence on these matters now.
Well, I don't even think it's that, because unfortunately, with this type of thing, when you're accused, everybody wants to think the worst, no matter whether you're innocent or not. They just, even you could be proven in a court of law innocent, and people will still.
Yeah, and and even if you're proven innocent in a court of law, the damage still is done because of the reputational damage.
Yeah.
And then people will just start crying about, oh, the court's corrupt too. The court doesn't know what it's talking about. But
Yeah.
With that, let's continue on with the article then here. In a devastating reminder of why such heinous claims should be settled by an actual legal authority and not the court of public opinion, I guess it's supposed to, again, the editing issues. I think that's supposed to be after being, not been, after being accused by a social media of having groomed an underage girl, X-Men Grand Design and Hip Hop Family Tree creator Ed Piskor has passed away at the age of 41 as from an apparent suicide. And then there he is right there. Promotes his red room during an interview. All right. The tragic saga of the cartoonist kayfabe YouTube channel host Final Days first kicked off on March 24th when indie comic artist Molly Sid Goblin Dwyer took to her personal Instagram account to accuse Piskor, then roughly 37 years old, of attempting to quote unquote groom her when she was just 17 years old. Again, 17, that's practically an adult in a number of states, a number of countries, for legal purposes, what we talked about the other night in terms of like age of consent laws and stuff, that is considered an adult, So if you're going by the legal definitions anyways.
Yeah.
But anyways. Sharing 4 screenshots showing DMs exchanged between the two amidst the COVID-19 lockdowns in May 2020 as evidence to her claim, the first of which showed Piskor offering a compliment to her artistic abilities. Dwyer opened her accusation, quote, "Okay, Ed Piskor is a bleeping creep. He liked little high school girls and slid in my DMs when I was 17 years old." Again, first off, 17 years old is not a little high school girl. Okay, she may still be in high school, but they're not little. They're practically young women already.
That's great. That's grade 12. That's grade 12, just about to be out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Depending when your birthday is, technically you could have graduated.
Yeah, junior or senior year, but depending, as you said, depending on when their birthday is. But yeah, you're pretty much a junior or senior in high school. And a lot of I don't know if it's as much now. Well, I don't think, because I think they've really cracked down on this. But there was a time when you could be driving at 17, so you have your own license and everything. So I don't know if
Well, technically you still can. I'm not sure whether you guys have it there, but there's graduated licensing. Basically, you get your beginners at 16 and you work your way through, and possibly by 17.
Well, it was that way here in most states.
Full license, or
like in California here. California now, it's like 18. I don't think you can get a license until you're 18 now. in California. But
Yeah, but I know you could. I know you can get your you have your license, but with some restrictions when you're 17. If you started at 16, as soon as you turned, 16, you could go get your quote unquote beginners, the first part of it, and a year later you have a test,
right.
which will give you. At least this is I know how it is in Ontario. I'm not sure what other provinces. I haven't really checked into it.
And it's fun. It's funny how she describes it. She slid in my DMs like basically like you was a snake or something like that. You know, I don't know. I mean, now supposedly this happened when she was 17. He was 37. He was 41 now. So basically, well, she's claiming this happened 40 years ago. So if this
Four
is such
years?
a
No, happened 4 years ago, not 40.
well, I said 4.
Oh,
I,
it sounded like you said 40 to me.
yeah, I know. I realize that, but I said 4.
All right.
I think I just jammed some words together. That's why. But um, all right. So quote. I don't know. I didn't know of him, and he found me simply by me liking one of his pictures. Unquote. Dwyer continued. Quote. Sending me a post of myself in my school uniform, calling me a cute nerdy girl, and saying to come out to Pittsburgh and stay with him. He'd take me out to lunch to meet other PG cartoonists. Overall, bleeping weird with no gray area for what he was trying to do over a course of a year, in parentheses here, obvious to anyone on the planet, unquote. Um,
Um, it it's obviously not probably a good thing to have done what he did, but I won't say obvious. He could have been very non not mean anything by it, except trying to help a fellow artist because it's hard to know, get to in the business if you're trying to.
yeah. It's a common expression. Sliding into one's DMs means pretty much sending them a message. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. No, Rick, that was creepy. Yes, it definitely sounds a little creepy, but it could, you know,
Well, yeah. I mean,
he could have meant it very innocently, where somebody might take it not innocently. I'm not disputing that it can be taken not innocently, and I'm not disputing that he didn't. I'm not saying he did mean it innocently, but I'm not saying he didn't either. I don't know because it might say later in this article whether how he meant it. I don't know the man, so
yeah. I mean, now granted, maybe like right off the bat, having not met her before or anything like that. If this is true, now she's claiming I guess these are supposedly DMs that he sent her. So if this is true, it would be kind of. I mean, that some people might say that might raise a red flag if this is how he's starting to talk to her right off the bat without having met her. Even if she is 17. You know, um, but
and Tim, that's all right. If you want to take it that way anyway, that's fine. That's up to you. I can't force anybody to take anything any certain way. It's just I can see it being said innocently.
she
You know,
she's an adult. She can screw any other adult she wants. Doesn't matter if she is well. She was 17 at the time. Um, again, this is kind of where this is something I've talked when we were talking about it the other night too. This is the point I was bringing up too with it. It's one of those things where you kind of intertwine the legality of a situation and the morality of a situation, because in legal depending upon the states they're in, actually it might have been legal it might have been actually been legal for him to do that, depending upon the states they're in. But because the age of consent laws, what people have to understand is that what age of consent means is that in legal terms,
Yeah.
you are considered to be old enough and mature enough to make certain decisions. One of which, of course, as implies, being able to give consent to engaging in that kind of relationship.
Elk says it was legal. A lawyer reviewed it. Okay, well,
Right.
I'm not disputing whether it's legal or not. And
And
as
the only
long,
reason I brought that idea up is because people need to understand they need to also see where they're coming from, because like it's kind of one of those blur, especially when you're talking about 16 and 17-year-olds, when a lot of the
yeah,
world have age of consent laws without restrictions as young as that, even a little younger in some cases, like as young as 15. And I know people don't like to hear that because people seem to think that 18 is this magical number that you're an adult. If you're 18 over, you're an adult. If you're younger than 18, you're a child, and that's not always the case.
yeah. Timothy said, "Well, if I had my way, 18, it would be 18, countrywide for consent. Someday we will pass people imposing dumb opinions on who's who. Someday we will be past people imposing their dumb opinions on who screws with who." Yeah. Um, Unfortunately, as morally, a lot of people think any adult having sex with somebody who's under the age of 18 is more very wrong, and even chatting them up or whatever in flirting with them or however you want to call it is morally wrong too.
Mhm.
Uh, and let's just all try and keep calm in the chat too. We don't want anybody's.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
you would be okay with an adult screwing you? No, I don't think anybody would be okay with that.
No.
Okay. I mean, now granted, if you're alluding to the fact that some parts of the world with restrictions have age of consent laws where they can be as young as 13 or even 12 in some cases, that's usually within usually those laws have restrictions to them, like within a certain age group. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody here, regardless of the situation, is saying that you know adults should be going out of their way to try to have relationships with anybody under the age of 18. Okay, but the reality is
Yeah.
sometimes you do have those situations where and it's not like always a May December situation. It's not always like a 30, 40, 50-year old trying to get together with a 16, 17-year old. Sometimes it's a 16, 17-year old maybe
Getting
getting
together with
together
a
with a
20-year-old.
25-year-old or 23-year-old. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, personally, my own personal opinion on the matter is I think the old biblical standard. Nobody should really be engaging in intercourse until they're married. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That would solve a lot of problems, but
Right. So
unfortunately, and that's
that
probably
may
what
seem a little
what.
simplistic to some people, but
Yeah. Yeah. But it would solve a lot of problems, and I think, some ways, I think that's more a New Testament concept because I guess it depends on how you read certain things in um, the
okay.
the Levitical law, because it
Hmm.
says no adultery, but it doesn't say fornication. But I've heard people say that the word back then meant that too. I don't know for sure. But I know when I read through it, it didn't say anything about fornication, Levitical law. But Uh, but anyways, maybe we should try and get on with the article because
Yeah, I mean, this is
we're having a lot of comments in the chat, and this is a very controversial topic.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I always like sparking the
well,
discussion here, but I
yeah,
also want to remind people, hey, let's be civil about it. We can agree to disagree on certain things, and we can still
yeah,
be cordial towards
yeah.
towards each other.
And I think I think he knows that it's not enforceable. Making sure everybody just has sex once they're married.
Hmm. Yeah. Quote, calling me a good girl and a naughty girl all the time, unquote, she said. Quote, sending me unfinished pages of him as a, in smaller quotes, secret, and gassing me up constantly, basically trying to groom me into whatever the bleep, saying my art was so good and saying he'd promote my work. Eventually, as COVID phased out, and I think he saw I was not just some nobody high school girl drawing, gore art, I started ghosting him, eventually understanding this was weird as bleep, unquote.
Okay, I just don't get that. I don't get the part about him sending art that's not finished or whatever. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what she means by that exactly.
Well, supposedly these are DMs that he sent
Yeah,
her,
yeah, yeah.
so, um, but I think even as Elk said, I guess a lawyer did review all this, and
Well, reviewed what
nothing.
he could. I'm not sure what he all had access to, but probably anything that we do.
Yeah.
So,
Dropping another screenshot in support of her grooming accusation, this one showing Piscore praising a piece of hers as, quote, incredible work, unquote, before lamenting, quote, are you 17 or 18? I'll be so mad if you say 17 because this crushes me at the game, unquote. Um, if she says 17, well, okay. I mean, if he's so he could possibly be thinking that she's 18 then by that statement right there. You know,
yeah, obviously at this point, she hasn't revealed her age to him.
hmm
Um, so he doesn't
actually, you
know
make
how
a good point
old
there.
she
So
is.
how does she know that he was trying to groom? How she's making an assertion here that she's trying to groom, that he's trying to
Okay,
groom an underage girl. You know,
well, I won't. Obviously, I won't say he's trying to groom an underage girl because he doesn't uh, know what age she is. But at this would obviously definitely say that he is flirting with her in some way for sure. Uh,
hmm. Rick, you stopped talking. There was there a reason why?
no, no, no. I was just. I think I made my point. Unless nobody heard me, I was just saying. You heard me say, like he didn't know whether she was 17 or 18 by that thing, but it does make it that he was flirting. So, yeah, sort of the comment earlier would be definitely a little creepy. But then again, at the same time, if he didn't know, he's just flirting with a woman, that's younger than him. And, there's lots of different opinions on we'll say May, June, or May, December, and all that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Whether that should be done or not, whether an 80-year-old should be getting with a 40-year-old or whatever. But if
Hmm.
an 80-year-old and a 40-year-old are adults, that's up to them.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, well, that's kind of an issue, in
Yeah.
another way.
Yeah,
So,
biblical prophets had multiple wives and hundreds of concubines. I'm not sure whether prophets did, but of course, definitely some of the kings David and Solomon for one or two. to the major kings. I'm not sure about Saul, King Saul. I'm sure many others had. I'm not sure about the prophets, so probably some of them had more than one wife. Um, and again, in the Levitical law, it wasn't against. It didn't say you couldn't marry multiple wives. If you read it, let's see. And Timothy is apologizing to Elk, and Elk says, "You're polite except for the 12-year-old thing." And then Timothy's saying, controversial topic, I guess. Timothy's like, "Yeah, just going by your opinion. Just going by your opinion, I guess I would say, saying where the line was. I guess saying where the line is. Yeah, I'm messing that up." It's like trying to convince Christians their attempts to control others' sexual behavior is oppressive is usually a new concept to them. Yeah, I can somewhat agree with that for sure. Timothy's like, I am just asking, are you saying there should be no laws when it comes to sex? Well, I think Elk was saying if it's an adult with an adult, we can, depending what you consider an adult, we'll say a 20-year-old and an 80-year-old should be get together, they're both adults. But an 80-year-old with a 15-year-old or 16-year-old, 17-year-old, possibly not. Obviously, I think there's laws. Some of it should be common sense too, but
yeah.
and then
But
like
at
the
least
only
according to
restriction.
what we've just read there, though, as I said, he may have thought he may have initially thought she was 18. So she didn't even reveal her age to him as
Yeah,
of yet.
or he might have thought at first she might have been older. He just because from what I can get here, this is a little bit time passed, and I guess enough has been said that he might figure out that she might be younger than what he thought. So at that point, he asked, "I don't know." This is all guesswork.
Anyways, let's continue on with the article here because, as I said, this is going to be a lengthy article. We're going to spark a few debates here with probably this one. I'm pretty sure. Quote: I don't like effing sex pests. I don't like creepy old men who think they have the ability to play around with malleable young girls with no real grasp on the situation because their predator has a successful career in comics. That's taking things, I think, a little too far. Again, she's not some helpless little girl. She's 17.
Yeah. And well, the thing is too, it doesn't matter what. Unfortunately, some people, when they have a successful career in anything, can be creepy or pests or whatever. The other thing too is, as much as I'm not trying to blame her, but this is on, I believe, on Twitter. At any time, she could have blocked him.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point there too. I mean, if this is messaging, if this is on Twitter, if this is on social media, if she really felt this uncomfortable about it, you're right. She could have just blocked him at any point.
She could have blocked him. She could have reported him at any point.
So why didn't she then? Or is this just a way of just dumping on somebody, just because, of whatever? I mean, it's
so I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much. I'm just saying from what I know of Twitter, if it was on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, these are things you can do when you have people that are bothering you or harassing you there. Maybe he found a different account to say hi, get her with or whatever. I don't know either. We might find that out in the article. We might not. Yeah. These are things, I don't know.
I mean, thus far, the quote unquote evidence here does seem a little sketchy. I mean,
Well, it's not sketchy in the fact that it seems like he did do these comments. Um, and of course, I don't know whether she responded back that she didn't want anything to do with him. In some ways, it's making it think she did, but did she say? I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether she told him or whatever, you know. So I'm just,
So,
you
quote,
know,
if anyone,
I'm a little iffy.
yeah,
Yeah.
if anyone would like to see further evidence of this, just DM me. I don't have a problem posting the rest of the screenshots, but I don't feel the need to share it in extensive detail for hours and hours, unquote, she wrote. Quote, Ed could argue and say that was, in smaller quotes, not his intention, or that he was just being friendly. I find nothing normal or friendly about a 40-year-old man asking a high school girl about her classes, calling her a good girl, naughty girl, etc., um, asking her to come visit him, saying we'll be quote unquote partners in crime, and asking if I snitch or not. Like what the bleep?
Yeah, a lot of that is definitely up for
Interpretation.
wackiness. Well,
Uh,
I was gonna say, definitely partners in crime could be iffy. The good girl, bad girl. I guess some of it is context, but yeah, all of it together is
well,
very
the problem here, too,
conspicuous.
yeah, the
It's
problem
very
here too
conspicuous.
is the problem here also is that she says that he mentioned in the DMs asking her about her classes. Okay. Now, theoretically, if he thinks
Yeah,
she's 18 or 19 or something like that, he could be thinking college classes, but,
yeah.
it might be
Well,
some indication that maybe he knew she was in high school. So,
but the classes thing, even if like if I get in a conversation with somebody that's younger than me, and taking classes, um, like I remember, it wasn't in DMs obviously, but there was a guy that was in Italy, and he was going to high school and all that, and I'm like, what classes are you taking? I've had people older than me ask me about what classes I'm taking or whatever at school or whatever, just friendly conversation. So that I'm not so sure of.
hmm.
Classes, asking about classes, what classes somebody is taking, that is nothing to me. I think that's a normal conversation. But the other stuff, it in and of themselves, they're not that bad. But when you put them all together, it does get a bit conspicuous, I would say.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
right. She used the fact,
After,
uh, even though
mhm.
he was not known, she's now she's this. Uh, well, obviously, it seems like she's trying to destroy him, but I don't know her full motivation. Even her, I don't really want to judge. Uh,
Mhm.
again, just some of his actions that are a little conspicuous.
But then,
I think some of her
okay,
actions are a little
well, Tim's
conspicuous.
asking, well, why did he ask her not to snitch? But I'm not even sure if he outright asked her not to snitch, because
Well,
that's
it sort of says that in the thing, but again, it's to me, it's depends on how he meant it. Like I could do that with a friend. Maybe he thought there was more to the relationship than there was. Maybe he thought they were more friends than what they were. I don't know. Oh,
because
we're
I mean,
obviously going over her side of the story here. Hopefully at some point they get to his side of the story. You know, if they got anything from the letter.
yeah,
Um,
so,
because right now this is a very one-sided, and
mhm.
from her point of view, and I don't mind that. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It,
Hmm.
well, it definitely wasn't wrong legally, Antioch elk, but some fortunately or unfortunately might morally consider it wrong. There's always
Mhm.
there's can be a difference in that, whether some think it's right or wrong.
Yeah. I mean that's kind of where the rub is that you know is where you find the balance between the legality of a
Yeah,
situation and the morality of the situation.
this is well, I don't have sex with women. My Christians tell me I have to. Women just exploit you for money. Yes, they can for sure. Some can.
Well,
The problem, the thing,
we know of Delilah and Potiphar's wife.
yes, women can definitely be manipulative, but we guys, let's face it, we can be idiots too. In different ways. Maybe not that the same way as women.
Quote, "This is not a cancellation of Ed Piskor," Dwyer then declared. Quote, "I'm just telling you the truth about this person, the truth that a lot of other cartoonists are aware of, who I know for a fact are aware of. The Ed Piskor that Ed Piskor likes young girls, and he will try to use his fame to get them to FaceTime him, give him attention, and make him come and stay with them. Um, I don't know. I don't know if this has worked for him, but it doesn't matter. The behavior is disgusting. This is me saying what happened in 2020, 21. And again, going back to what we were saying earlier, if she really had a problem with that, if she really had a problem with this, then why didn't she say all this back then? Why'd she wait 4 years to say anything? You
Yeah.
know, it does
Why
kind of
didn't
lead
she
to the
just
idea.
lock?
Well, maybe she felt she couldn't get him then, or something like that. It does lead to maybe some of her motivations. You know, um, but
Kennedy, I believe. Let's see. No matter how much money you give them, in the end, it just turns. In the end, they turn on you in divorces. Well, not always. In the end, there are a lot. Yes, unfortunately, it's 50%. Unfortunately, the time. Men should believe all men. I think I'm more, and for most of the time, I think I'm with Timothy. I believe the evidence most of the time. Sometimes the evidence can be manipulated too. Alex saying she's hoping Pisker could still get her a job. Possibly, yeah. I believe everyone is innocent till proven guilty.
mm-hmm. And again, we are, and the point that Rick made earlier is that we are still only getting one side of the story. Unfortunately, due to the fact that Ed, chose to end his own life over it, now that could imply some things, but again, it kind of goes back to something that even Elk was saying the other night when we were talking about it too. That sometimes the accusations can be damning enough, even if nothing happened. Um,
Yeah, and unfortunately, lots of women have done, and probably more than guys, done false accusations. But I think guys have too. I think there's been probably times it's obviously more apparent nowadays that women have done it too. But I'm sure there's guys have done false accusations towards girls. Maybe it's not usually taken to the same level as the one women do have. It's all this stuff is just it's messy. It's really, really messy. And
mhm,
that's saying it nicely. Yeah. On the side of his career had his career destroyed deliberately by someone who wanted a job she didn't get. Yeah. And who knows? It's hard to say what she wanted. It's very possible. Elk, I know. He promised a lot of stuff and she didn't to her, according to her, she didn't get anything.
And if this happened to you, you're not alone. Unfortunately, I need a T-shirt that says Ed Piskor tried to groom me, and I didn't even get a free copy of X-Men Grand Design. Oh my! Okay, saying something like that just puts more lack of credence on you, because it basically makes it sound like, oh, the only reason you're doing this is because you didn't get something. Making that kind of statement.
Yeah. Yeah. However, we will probably never get his side of things true. Yeah, probably not. Although it could. It depends on whether anybody releases the suicide note, if you will, because apparently,
Well, they
from what I
may
can,
have,
it was
because
supposed.
there was a quote in the headline, in the title there, something about those who are against me uh, wouldn't be convinced. So
Yeah,
um,
but that could have been from a Twitter post too or something. I don't know,
yeah,
but like I was saying, from what I heard, it's supposed to be 5 pages. So it
yeah,
depends on whether that's ever released. Maybe we'll find out something about that in here.
yeah, yeah. Quote: To this day, Ed Piskor slides into my DMs calling me kiddo, further confirming our inappropriate age gap. Well, okay, first off, it could be an age gap. Doesn't necessarily mean that. I mean, now I don't know if by this point he does know that she was probably 17 or not. He could still think she's 18, you know. So I don't, there might be an age gap there, but I wouldn't necessarily call it an inappropriate age gap, you know.
Uh,
Um, but
Alec asks, why do Christians believe in heterosexuality? I don't get it. Marriage is male having cancer. Well, why do they believe in it? Because that's how God set things up, and unfortunately, we as humans have been corrupted by
Well, I
sin.
think it even says in the Bible that the whole purpose of marriage is for the procreation of the species. It's to
Well, that's
basically
why.
it's to basically give birth to a new species, to a new generation, and to pass
Yeah, well,
on.
that's part of it. Obviously, God set it up, man and woman, right in the beginning, Adam and Eve,
Mhm.
um, and unfortunately, because humans have been corrupted, you know, men and women both. Guys have done stuff badly in the past to women, and women have do stuff badly to guys. We manipulate each other. We do stuff bad to each other. We do bad stuff to each other.
And of course, that goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. That goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. When once they ate of the tree of good and evil, they were like kind of turning on each other there. But anyways, continuing on with
Yeah.
the article here.
Elk says I'm exaggerating, but only slightly with the stories I hear. Yeah, I get you. I know there's horror stories out there, but the thing is, there's horror stories both ways.
Yeah.
Anyways,
She further accused, quote, seeing that I am not just some random girl who can draw, that he can groom enough to come to Pittsburgh to watch him do his stupid strip. He's doing now about little girls from broken homes, switchblade shorties, is disturbing coming from a bleeping creep who likes little girls. What the bleep?
a 17-year-old girl or 18-year-old girl is not a little girl. Maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
not completely a big girl, maybe a medium girl. I don't know. Law wise, they would, as we know, in Pittsburgh, they would be considered a big girl, but
Hmm. Yeah. So
well, I don't think Noah tried for the other team. He had his wife, and then he only had his sons there and their wives. They all, um, they were probably all with their own wives.
yeah. In a subsequent third set of DMs shared by Dwyer, which notably lacked full context, as the relevant screenshots were clearly taken from an in-progress conversation. Piskor writes to her, quote, "Naughty girl, that's my favorite. I feel like you'd be a good partner in crime. You're not a snitch, are you? If we robbed some banks, or you wouldn't rat me out, would you?" So in that particular context, though, there's nothing even sexual there. Okay, I mean,
Well,
now
well,
partner in crime.
one, and a lot of people have read some innuendos into that, and I can see that being read into it.
Yeah, but I mean, now, Grant, I'm sure in the context here, he's probably that sounds more like
Yeah.
a joke because I don't think he intends to. It almost you almost get the impression maybe he's trying to pull some kind of Bonnie and Clyde thing going, you know. But the but again, I think it also goes
Mm.
towards the whole you said because you said some people might infer the innuendo there even though there's nothing in that statement that should even
Yeah.
say anything. Maybe the partner in crime bit, but partner in crime could apply to a lot of things. Partnerships in business, partnerships in art, partnerships. Doesn't have to automatically or be thought of as anything sexual there. You know, so
Let's see. Elk says, "Are women equal or not? If they're not equal, why are they? If they're not equal, why do they want special treatment all life long?" Yeah. Well, they're equal in some ways. Not. We're equal in our value as people. Obviously, there's some things women can do that men can't, and there's the things men can do that women can't. We are a lot more stronger, men, and all that. They give birth. Um, Women are usually more nurturing. There's all these differences, physical and psychological. Um,
well, we yeah, and going to
yeah,
Elk's point, Elk was saying yes means yes, but they were never in the same city, and we know that because according to her thing there, he basically suggested she come out to Pittsburgh, to visit him. Now, again, you could imply maybe there was some,
yeah.
but that's still a bit of a stretch.
He says the dude was into hip hop. He probably always talked about crime. And then, as we got this next sentence, I guess this is her reply, as it says there, to that above statement, which I don't
Mhm.
think anybody's heard yet before this article. So if you
Yeah.
want to go on to
So,
that,
quote, "I wouldn't dream of it," Dwyer replies. Quote, "I prefer to be a Raoul Duke and Dr. Gonzo, the main characters in Hunter S. Thompson's novel Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas," unquote. Quote
yeah,
unquote, "good girl," Piskor praises in return. Quote, "you give the correct answers," unquote. Um, well, I mean, that seemed kind of like a friendly exchange. It would,
yeah.
you know,
Well, she's replaying along. She's playing along with whatever this is. I'm not sure whether there was much before or much after.
well, they
So
also said this has also been taken out of context. See, the author of the article here. So, in a fourth screenshot, Piskor can be seen offering Dwyer an open invitation to stay at his home. Quote, "If you ever wanted wander into my side of the state for a few days," unquote. So they're not in the same city, but they may be in the same state. Um, Several hours later, Dwyer returned to Instagram to clarify, in the face of numerous individuals believing her message was meant to dissuade artists and fans from interacting on social media, that, quote, "I am not trying to say this. I was answering, in brackets, the questions freely. I felt like he was trying to groom me," unquote.
then why did you respond?
Right. It's, quote, "This is about the inappropriate nature of Ed Piskor's communication with me. She said, quote, I was way younger than him and starstruck that someone in small quotes famous liked my art. I was posting to essentially no one but my friends, also having a boyfriend who knew of his work and wanted me to push and respond to him did not help. I am totally fine. I am not trying to ruin anyone's career to try and say people shouldn't reach out to artists or artists stop reaching out to their audience on social media or whatever the bleep. I'm stating what that it was weird. I was a 17 turned 18, a senior in high school. Well, okay, so she even acknowledged that she was 17 turned 18.
Yeah.
At that point, she's an adult.
Yeah.
Regardless, even going with some of the more, with like some
Well,
people who just morally just believe it should be 18 across the board. She at that point she's an adult. So how can she?
yeah.
Her issue then
Well,
seemed to be more the age gap. It's like, well, he's
yeah.
late 30s, early 40s. She's still a teenager, but she's an adult teenager.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say when she's saying when it started, all this started, I was 17 while it was going on. I turned 18, so okay, again, I know there's a lot of convoluted waters. Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
said that completely wrong. So, but you guys know what I mean. So again, that's where that is. Again, that's more on the moral scale again. And there's lots of 20-year-olds and 40, 80-year-olds, well, maybe not
Yeah.
lots, but a few.
I mean, I think this is a good article overall. I think this is something we may redo on Sunday with the full panel because I think this really could.
Well,
Oh, well, go ahead, Rick.
it's good. It's going a little longer than probably that you realized because of our
Yeah.
conversation. But you know, I you probably don't want to because it is sparking. Yes, it's sparking a lot of sort of good conversation, but you don't want to get too much of this controversial stuff in this way in
Hmm.
the chat. We are even have we've had a little bit of a debate, maybe heated debate in the chat,
Hmm.
and it's even more controversial than normal topic, you know. And I don't mind talking about it, but I'm not sure.
Well,
I
like
guess.
metal or well, I think metal would be more along.
Oh, oh yeah,
Art.
your panelist probably would be all right, but you know, I've had an interaction with somebody. This led to other topics, and it got very heated, and it didn't really go well in the end. And I'm not going to say much more than that online or
Right.
on air about it. I just don't want anything bad to happen. Like in your chat or in on the panel or whatever. I want to try and help you keep it drama free, right?
Right. Well, stuff like this is this, again, just for me, a lot of times the reason I like to bring these
Yeah.
up is I really like people to really think about this stuff
Oh
and
yeah,
really evaluate their own perspectives on it, because it's not
yeah.
always as cut and dry as
As
people want to make it
we would,
sound.
yeah, and I 1000% agree with that. Because I like trying to make people think, and sometimes people don't like to think.
Mhm. Anyways, we really
uh,
got to keep
but
going. Oh,
yeah,
go
I was
ahead.
just gonna catch. Elk Scott says I'm not into hip hop. Don't like it much. Yeah, I'm not a super big person on hip hop. Um, Elk says she's reading Hunter S. Thompson. She's able to work and rent an apartment. She's old enough to flirt. Well, I'm not sure whether she's working, but possibly. I'm not sure whether she's renting apartment. It never says there about renting apartment. I don't think. She responded because she's
Well,
a.
what we also need to remember here, she's currently 21 years old. right now. She is an adult now. Back then, she may still have been living at home, being a senior in high school. So, but anyways, let's get into this because we're really running long here. So, quote: "He was 40. There is no good or wholesome reason for a grown bleep man to be calling a young girl naughty or telling her to come visit him. Perving on her picture."
What if the girl was actually being?
What,
What if the
what was
girl
that?
was actually being a naughty girl? What if the girl was actually being a naughty girl? Like, what if the girl was stealing? You're a naughty girl for stealing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I think we understand the context she's meaning by
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I'm just.
perving on her pictures in her uniform, constant complimenting with vague implications of helping her career by sticking with him, unquote. Dwyer further roared to her followers, quote, "That is what I am trying to say by stating this bleep. I'm 21 now. I don't like that sex pest can do whatever the bleep they want, and everyone them lets them because they have success in any field. What if I went to this? What if I went to his house? Was more naive, more desperate for attention, weird as bleep. I don't know what goes on in his life, so what if it's possible he has continued to do this since? Do people know and say nothing?" Well, here's the thing I come back to though. If she really felt this strongly about it, why'd she keep contacting him? Why didn't she block him? Why didn't if she felt that he was crossing the line, why didn't she report him? That's
Yeah, she does say that her boyfriend was pressuring her not to try and stuff, which, okay, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, but then
Maybe it's
doesn't
a
that say
convenient
something about
excuse.
okay? But then what does that say about her if she feels this
Yeah,
strongly about it, and yet
yeah. Well,
she still succumbs to the will of her boyfriend?
but this is, of course, 4 years later that she's feeling this thing about it. The other problem is that I have with her statement above. Nobody's saying anything or whatever. Well, you didn't for 4 years either, so.
Hmm. Well, Elk has a very interesting this last statement Elk made here. "Don't ever let this person get married. She will try to destroy the idiot."
Very possible. Very possible.
Hmm. Anyway, in response to Dwyer's accusations, Piscor went scorched earth on his social media account, deleting not only his own Twitter account, but also both the Cartoon Kayfabe account and YouTube channel. Now, mind you, even when I mentioned this to RJ about it the other day, we were talking about it the other day. Him and we talked about this also with the other situation. Not that I'm going to bring that situation back up, but the fact that he kind of deleted everything there may also kind of suggest, okay, maybe there was something a little under
Sketchy.
under the table, as it were, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And though he would restore them a short time later,
Well,
this was,
the
oh,
the
go
only
ahead.
thing I would say to that, only thing I'd say to that is sometimes people do that just so they won't get lambasted by people.
Mm-hmm.
Because with these allegations out there, he would start to get lambasted. And whether there's, something to it or not, most people don't want to get lambasted, right?
Mm-hmm. Going back, can you imagine this horror first divorce in 5 years? She will destroy the simp who married her. This score's death is a road mark in
Comics.
comics. Will comics keep oppressing men,
Yeah,
or will men keep letting other men be destroyed?
yeah.
Oh yeah, we already read that
I
part.
don't want to. I don't want to see anybody destroyed, guy or girl. And you know, like I said, the human race is messy, and all due to stuff that's in my biblical opinion, because of stuff that happened at near the beginning with Adam and Eve, and we all behave badly.
Yeah, and of course the problem with outlawing heterosexual, that's not a practical idea because heterosexuality is how you procreate. If the entire world just all of a sudden stopped heterosexual sex, we die out. We probably die out in 2 or 3 generations. If we just said, you know something, we're not going to engage in heterosexual sex. We're not going to procreate anymore. We probably die out in like 2 or 3 generations.
And we know also the fact that at one point this wasn't the norm too. You know, back 100 years ago, 200 years ago, this stuff wasn't the norm. But unfortunately, back then too, you had guys exerting a little bit too much authority over women too. Not a lot of them having their own identity or whatever, however you want to say it. So it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, women have done a lot of bad things.
Yeah. And though he would restore them a short time later, the response would ultimately turn out to be a haunting prelude of events yet to come. The next day, a second woman, artist Wally Might, came forward to likewise accuse Piscor of inappropriate sexual behavior. Quote, it's come to my attention that an experience I had in Pittsburgh is similar to several women's experiences regarding Ed Piscor, unquote, wrote Might on March 25th. Quote, I reached out to Ed and he eagerly invited me over. Okay, so basically, she reached out to him. Let's point that out. We had plenty of fun and discussed animation and comics. That was until he asked me to suck his bleep in exchange for his agent's number. Okay. Again, a situation where we only have the two of them involved and only her word to go by. So
Okay, you know what? I can agree that stuff like this happens. Like it's a Hollywood thing, the casting couch, as they say, and
mhm,
it should happen. I say that. I agree with that. Again, I don't know whether she's telling the truth or not, but it's a very good possibility that she is telling the truth, or a
mhm,
possible, you know what I mean? But it
mhm,
happens, and obviously you say no, you report him, or whatever. Not
mhm.
that necessarily go anywhere reporting him because there's a bunch
Because
of
there's nothing illegal about what he did. Basically telling
well,
her there's nothing
well,
outright illegal about it.
yeah, it's he's asking for a favor, lack of a better way of saying it, which is again, I would say that favor for that favor is wrong, and unfortunately, there's going to be idiots that do that. Yeah, unfortunately, it's happened.
Yeah. So, anyways, continuing on with
Yeah.
this, he then asked me to join him for an open relationship, so that if I wanted to eat bleep, I'd be free to do so. She continued, "Quote: I have recently learned that he was attempting to line up some of those girls, in quote, smaller quote, at the time, and guess what? Today I learned some of them were minors. So in this case, now, okay, so now apparently Wally Might here, I guess, is claiming to be an adult here. So he's
Yeah.
trying to pick up an adult. So I think that kind of also blows the whole thing. But quote, Ed and I's
No.
exchanges were short lived.
Well,
Go ahead, Rick.
well, Tim, the one that we're reading now, the first one that we read, yeah, was a minor, but the one that just asked for he said about the sexual favor for getting agent's number. She was an adult. She was of age, or at least that's what it's making it sound like.
Yeah. Were short lived,
Anyways,
only about 2 or so years. Mike concluded of her initial accusation, quote, we would check on one another every couple of months. It was clear he had grown afraid of me. I've warned several people over the years about him. For those of you that already know, I ask that you be supportive and kind of all women that come forward in the coming weeks. In a follow-up thread, Mike... Go ahead, Rick.
I was just going to say the other problem is sometimes when one woman comes forward, it does give others that have been abused or I'm not sure what the right word is, violated, we'll say, I guess, allows them to come forward. But unfortunately, then there are a lot of other women that will come forward that weren't, and just get on the bandwagon, as you might say. And
Or
yeah, that's
dogpiling.
yeah, yeah. When there's nothing that happened to them, they just they come forward, just to get some attention, as Elk might say, or I would, and that's okay, Tim. You were away for a bit, as you said, so that's no problem being behind. You just got cut up. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, continuing on here. Um, in a follow-up thread, Mike continued, quote, I'll delete this eventually because I don't want this gross, slimy scumbag to taint my timeline for good. So I'll keep this short and brief. Several people are coming forward with their Ed Piscor stories. At first, I shrugged it off because I've known he was a creep for a very long time, which some of you already know because I've been vocal about it. But recently, I learned that one of them was a minor. Quote, he was pursuing a minor at the same time as me, she asserted. Quote, I know she's getting a ton of bleep for what happened, so I'm posting this in support of her. Quote, also, to the weird people saying, we're doing this for press, unquote, added Mike. Quote, dude is literally a bleeping loser that had to resort to making a YouTube channel to pressure small comic shops into bulk buying a bunch of unsellable comics for him to take up space on shelves while he uses fake bulk ordering numbers to falsify his success. Sounds like sour grapes, quite honestly. Quote, I remember when this
A
guy...
little bit. Obviously, there's a little bit of it there.
Yeah. I remember when this guy first met me and I tried to impress me before the channel existed. He would talk bleep on at Jim Rugg art. Jim Rugg is his partner on that cartoon, or was his partner on that cartoon kayfabe YouTube channel, and call him a bad artist, and also said he would never draw gore for attention. She said. Of course, it's kind of funny because this is also something where a lot of this is coming out after the guy's died, of course. So the guy can't even respond. The guy can't even defend himself. It's like it's just kind of messy. Quote, it's so weird seeing him use the same lines on me, calling me a good girl and a nerdy bum. So So he wasn't just saying this to people who were under 18. He was saying it to adults too.
It was his line.
Yeah.
It was his pickup line.
On a little, no, she wasn't a literal child. Okay, she was underage, yeah, but she was not a child. There is a difference between 16, 17, and 6, 7 people. Or even 12, 13. You know, there's a significant difference, I think, between 16, 17, and let's say 12 or 13 or 6, 7. Okay? She added, I'm speechless. Quote, anyway, my ultimately.
Mike, these accusations probably were put up before he died, remember? So he wasn't dead. He could have responded at this time.
Oh, yeah, some of them were, yeah. But now it's, yeah, you got a point there.
And sort of Elk's comment there. So this person is trying to drive a wedge between him and his partners. So, yeah, that's reminded me.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny when that is exactly what happened because Jim Rugg, who was his partner on the cartoon, he basically after these accusations, apparently after these accusations had come out, had actually he said in a post that he was basically ending his business relationship with him and just severing ties with him. Anyways, I gotta put some lights on in here, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna go off camera here for a moment, so I'll be right back. But
yeah. Uh-huh. So everybody loving the topic of the night? Hope everybody is doing good, and I hope we can all come away from tonight. All right. I'm not sure how to put it. Yeah, but yeah, unfortunately, the world is just a messed up place. You know, guys have done stuff bad to women for a lot of time, and women do stuff bad. You know, women use sex as a manipulative tool. Men have used other things as a manipulative tool.
Yeah. Well, again, even I'm thinking I should have probably saved this for Sunday because I think again I think this could have been a very good. This could be a very good panel discussion. You know, we may risk offending some people, but the reason I like bringing this stuff up is because I really want people to think about what I really want to challenge people's perceptions here on this, particularly on this issue, because like I said, we always seem to whenever you talk about anything, whether it's this, whether it's the Vic Mignogna situation, or what have you, right? It's always a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
And even it's like there are people out there who think that just 18 should be the standard, and that's that. Even though law wise, historically, it hasn't always been the case.
Yeah, obviously they have a right to think that, and everybody has a right to their opinions on this stuff, which is all right. We just yes, and then yes, historically we know back in St. Jesus's day, we know women were married off younger, probably 13 or 14. That's about probably how old Mary was. When she had Jesus. Maybe 15 at the youngest. But then again, people were probably a lot more mature back then. So unfortunately, there's the biggest problem. A lot of people are less mature nowadays. So adult relationships, are not necessary. They don't know how to have adult relationships or adult conversations.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that's going on in the schools is not helping with that.
Yeah. So anyway, getting back to this quote unquote. Anyway, be deleting this, like I said, because that guy doesn't deserve any more attention ever again. In response to my thread, a third woman, Twitch streamer um, Tafeta Darling, would come forward with her own claims of inappropriate behavior towards Pittscore. Um, Quote, I can 100% attest to his behavior, wrote Darling. Quote, last year, Piscor invited me to his home because he wanted to draw me nude. In exchange for me getting introduced to bigger industry folks. This was mid July, and he shared that he had just ended a relationship. Hmm.
Let's see.
Again, this is more the casting couch thing, though.
Yeah.
You know, quote, he offered the quote unquote nude pinups, in smaller quotes, in exchange for a weekend in New Jersey area, I think, she added. Quote, and that the pinups could be sold by both. Compounding matters for Piscor around this time, a screenshot began to circulate wherein the late artist could allegedly be seen having quote unquote liked an Instagram picture of Dwyer from 2016, at which time she would have been roughly 13 or 14 years old. But okay, I've got a question for you. You know that okay, if this is supposed to be if this right here is supposed to be the picture, right? Why is a 14-year-old posting a picture of her basically touching right around her, what could be
Well,
her crotch area?
I
Okay,
wouldn't say that's
that might be inappropriate in of itself. I mean,
well.
you know,
First of all, I will say that's a little bit above the crotch area. If that's a normal type picture, but I look at this and I think she could be easily mistaken for somebody a little bit older than 13 or 14. You know,
yeah. I mean,
so
that's another thing. But it looks like it kind of looked like she's even okay. She's either right. She's close to the crotch area. So why would she be posting a picture like this to begin with?
no, no. This isn't when she was in her 20s because she just turned 20. This is when she would have been 13 or 14 now.
Yeah,
Um,
they're trying what they're trying to say here is that he supposedly liked this picture that she posted. Now, if that's the case, then yeah, that might be considered a bit of a problem. But but
yeah,
liking a
people
picture is
people
not
like
illegal. Liking a picture is not illegal. You may find
yeah,
some moral qualms with it,
and
and I
people
think a
do it
lot
for
of
all
people
different
would.
and
But
people do it for all different reasons too. You know, although uh, the photo was of age 13, he liked it years later. I'm not sure whether it says years later. It says I think it says he liked it around 2016 when she was 13 or 14. Uh,
I'll read the statement again. Compounding matters for Piscor around this time. So we don't know if around this if they're talking about um, the
and
time. I don't know if we're talking
you
about
know
the time
what?
when he was engaging with Dwyer, or if it was earlier. A screenshot began to circulate wherein the late artist could allegedly be seen having in smaller okay, alleged, again, a screenshot began to circulate wherein the could allegedly be seen
Yeah.
having liked an Instagram picture of Dwyer from 2016. Now,
Okay, okay. There's the thing here. And I'm not sure whether it doesn't say that he liked it now. It doesn't say whether he liked it in 2016. It just says he liked it. nobody can tell when you liked a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well,
so
for
he
that
could
matter, how can they tell that? How would they have been able to tell who liked it? Because at least as far as I know, well, okay, maybe on social. Actually, never mind, because I just remembered how, because Facebook does this, where you can tell who likes it, because they, if you just, you go to the like button, they'll list how many people liked it or who all liked it. So this is social media. I'm thinking YouTube, where you don't see all the people who liked it, but you can tell who liked it, but do they list when it was liked?
He was not just introduced to her. He was introduced to her. Yeah, in the 2020s. Well, I guess they're trying to say yeah, that's it, or they're trying to say maybe he found her and that he was, quote unquote, stalking her, till he actually made contact, several years later. But that's not what I think. It doesn't say, that's when the picture went up, and 2016, but it doesn't say that's when he liked it. He could have, like you're insinuating, liked it after he found out
Met
she
her
existed.
when she was already an
Yeah.
adult. So, but
Well,
anyway,
yeah. Well,
go
after
ahead,
she
Rick.
was 17, yeah.
Yeah, but following the publication of these
Yeah, I
accusations,
was just saying. So he could have liked it after. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Following the publication of these accusations, public opinion, unsurprisingly so given the absolutely disgusting claims leveled against him, quickly turned against Piskor. On March 26th, the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust postponed a planned exhibition of Piskor's due to the accusations leveled against him, in particular those made by Dwyer. Quote, the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust learned on Sunday of allegations of misconduct made by an individual against artist Ed Piskor, whose work was scheduled to be on exhibition at 707 Penn Gallery starting April 6, 2024, unquote. The institution told local ABC affiliate WTAE 4, quote, the trust takes the allegations very seriously and decided yesterday to postpone the exhibition indefinitely, unquote. Then on March 29th, which was last Friday, of course, Piskor's cartoon kayfabe coast is what we're talking about. Street Angel creator and Hulk Grand Design creator Jim Rugg announced via a now deleted Instagram post that, quote, in light of the past week's shocking revelations, I find it necessary to reevaluate my professional associations to ensure they align with my values of respect and integrity. Therefore, I have ended my working relationship with Ed Piskor. Meanwhile, taking notice of the fact that various elements of her story had been twisted and taken out of context as it spread across social media, Dwyer returned to her Instagram account to declare, quote, frustrating and horrifying to keep having to reiterate myself. Stop bringing me into your stupid and weird comic politics. I don't understand what is even go on. Well, you kind of threw yourself into it by leveling all this at him, little girl. So,
Well, not even leveling it at him, by just posting it online.
Yeah, but the point is, Rick, I'm making that she put the target on herself. That's what I'm.
Oh
getting
yeah,
at.
that's exactly. I'm agreeing with you on that point.
Yeah, and here's kind of what we were talking about earlier here too. Quote: why did you not go to the police? Why didn't you block him immediately? This was all bait. This is slander. Social media is a witch hunt. She knew, in brackets, what she was doing, unquote. She continued in quote, dude, no, I didn't. I was in high school, and wow, I was maybe starstruck by the idea this older person was in my messages, seeking me out and complimenting me all the time. Maybe high schoolers make uneducated decisions because their brains are not developed, not as developed as, say, a almost 40-year-old man.
Oh, so now she didn't find it weird and creepy when he did it. Before she was saying she found it weird and creepy and didn't
After
block
the
him,
fact, but
but
this
now she's
statement almost makes it sound like, maybe she knew, maybe she already felt that way.
no, that statement saying, "Oh, I didn't think it was weird and creepy. I was an uneducated teenager that didn't know any better." Well, before you said it, you thought it was weird and creepy at the time, but you didn't block him. Well, she didn't say didn't
According
block
to
him.
Elk here, she's lying. She's deliberately is trying to destroy him, and is enjoying it. Of course, the one thing people would ask in that case is why? Why would she be going out? Because I mean, until all this came out, I'd never even heard of the guy. So this guy wasn't like so
Yeah,
super. Right, not that I know every single person, but I mean,
yeah, he wasn't that
it's
famous.
like, huh?
He wasn't that famous.
Yeah. Quote, Ed Piscor did not follow me since I was 14. You people are just making bleep up for fun because you're bored. He would go back and like my pictures. So she at least acknowledges that aspect.
Yeah.
Yes, I was even younger in them. He did know me until I was he he did know me
I think
until
he,
I think she meant he didn't, but he didn't know me until I was 16. I don't understand. I am not trying to write Ed Piscor out of history of of end his career. So obviously some editing issues here.
yeah.
This
Oh, the question is, what did you think was going to happen when you put this stuff up?
did it
You told
not
me about
has the last 5 years not sunk in with this stuff. Little girl and I and
okay. Elk says cartoon kayfabe was semi-famous. He had 100,000 followers. I watched his content. Okay. I didn't know who he was. I never heard of him before this week.
yeah. I mean, I didn't even see the name until I saw Ethan doing something on. That was the day they
Well, I
apparently
never.
he went missing, and they eventually, I guess, found him. But
I didn't know about it till Elk brought who he was till Elk brought him up the other day.
yeah, so let's see. This has been very deeply scary, and I am trying very hard to be strong, but some of the response I've gotten has been just straight up incel level awful. I just wanted to make it known for other girls. How else could they know if nobody says anything? Well, okay, again, if this was such a problem, why didn't you say anything back when it was first starting?
Well, okay, I can maybe half buy her excuse. She was, young teenager. I'm not really quite buying it, but okay, you just want you. She makes a good point. How else could they know that he's a creep and not have anything to do with him? But what the hell did you think was going to happen when you put up all this stuff?
I was
If
not sending my
if what she's
I was
saying is
not
true.
sending my story to news outlets. I'm not beckoning to anybody I could find in Pittsburgh to have him crucified, calling his agent or publicist, phoning Chris Bleeping Hansen, you know.
Yeah. Well, you want to know something? Putting stuff up on social media is way worse than calling any. one of those
Yeah,
people.
because basically you're putting it out there for everybody to see. And there are going to be people who probably know the guy and feel that you're out of line at the very least, if not just being a total, you know what, you know. Quote, I am 21 now, unquote. Dwyer clarified. Quote, I was fine. I was never harmed. He never sent me any exposure pics. He never made me take nudes either. Nothing like that. Well, okay, if that's again, why even if none of that happened, like with
Well,
the other girl?
I can get the point that if he's a creep, you want to let people know that he's a creep. Okay. Um, you know, there's a better way to do it. Obviously, putting it just out there on social media is just, have you, you know, I guess she's a dumb teenager, as she might be saying,
Well,
but
I would think that she's gone from a dumb teenager to a dumb adult.
but the thing is, people put stuff like this out all the time on social media, and people get canceled over it all the time, especially when the person is a celebrity of some sort.
Yeah. So, anyways, continuing on here. Let's see. This has been a long article. Maybe I should have waited on this till Sunday, but anyways, um, let's see.
What is hard? What is hard
Yeah,
concept?
I'm trying to
What
remember.
is
Oh yeah,
what
what
is
is so hard in the concept that I wanted it known on my art account, where I have young artists follow me, that he picked me out randomly, that I look back to our interaction and find it really inappropriate and weird, and he always kept messaging me, not the other way around. That this particular person does this behavior. I have been told by other cartoonists who knew him that he did, and I am frustrated with every, again, secondhand evidence that there's no. A lot of this is kind of
well,
iffy, but
well,
because
she's
hearsay.
being told by somebody else. She's just relating her experience. That's fine. It's not a court of law. Secondhand information like this, I would say, is sort of acceptable.
Every way this has happened, I was filled with anger, not because I feel scorned and hurt by the effect or gravity of this experience, but because as I grew older, looking back, it became more and more disgusting to me and concerning that I actually felt that it was like normal and cool and exciting at the time. Annoyed that he still continued to reach out to me to this day. You're an adult now, that he felt confident and comfortable with the idea he had been talking to me since I was in high school and never saw any issue with it either.
Yeah, because you didn't tell him any different.
Mm-hmm. Quote, like maybe he shouldn't have been texting high schoolers at his grown bleep age, unquote, she wrote. Um, again, that's again
What
kind of
what could they
debatable.
possibly have in common to talk about? Well, art, comics. It
Mhm.
seems like you were into that.
Quote, what possibly could we have in common? Okay, you would just, why would he call me such strange things? I felt frustrated, in brackets, at how many people I have told in comics who have just said, in small quote, ooh, that's so weird and gross, and that's it. Say, he's a great artist, though, and move on, realizing I am just continuing to enable a collective secret. Um, People, and then he can just keep doing what they want with young girls. God forbid, because it's easier to say nothing. Well, okay, he wasn't really doing anything with young girls. You know, most of the women he was talking to were adults. Okay, and depending upon again the state where it could be, she could have been considered an adult too, but quote, Ed Piskor is not a pedophile, but basically, well, you may not have specifically called him a pedophile, but you've done everything roundabout in such a way that you basically made the implication that he is. You've implied that he is. That's the problem with these accusations. The implication can be, sometimes it can be more damning than an actual act.
Yeah.
She concluded her post, quote, Ed Piskor is just a bleeping creep. Why do I have to be complacent in it? Why would it not make sense? And I am posting this information publicly on the same silly app he reached out to me on. Well, maybe because you didn't do it maybe because it looks a little suspect that you didn't do it when he was first doing this. You're doing it long after the fact. I mean, come on. I'm just so tired.
Well, that's not a reason to be complacent. She's right. If he was creepy, she doesn't have to be complacent, but you also have to evaluate what's going to happen when you do this. I don't think she thought through what was going to happen.
Right. What are we supposed to do with creeps? Let me know next time. I will follow the proper procedure. I think we've all told her you should have reported it in the first, when it was first happening.
She didn't. Well, as she said, she didn't think it was creepy back then. She's looking at it in retrospect, and she's thinking it's creepy, or that's what she's saying now. The initial first post made it sound different.
Yeah. Sadly, this saga would ultimately come to a head on April 1st when Piskor published what would turn out to be his suicide note to his personal Facebook page. Editor's note, in brackets here, in the interest of posterity, Piskor's full message is shared in its full original form below. However, out of respect for the deceased, it will be shared as a block of quote-unquote quote text, which will prevent his final words from both contributing to this article's official word and being interspread with monetized advertisements. Well, so this is, I guess, what this is. I guess is Piskor's response to all this.
I think it's part of it, either his response or it's his letter, if you will.
Editor's note in the Piskor's full message is shared, in its full original form below. So so now we finally are going to get basically how he responded here. So I'm so sorry for being so stupid. I definitely should never have talked with Molly D. The language and optics look real dumb at best. But I promise my innocence, especially out of context, it looks terrible. It was the height of COVID with no end in sight, and I was alone through most of it. I was just happy to have the internet to talk to people with common interest. The way that I noticed her was when she would like a bunch of my pictures at once. I wasn't trolling Instagram randomly, but I definitely shouldn't have chatted with her when I found out how young she was. Seeing someone younger representing R. Crumb and Gigi Allen gave me hope for so I guess these are characters you drew, I guess, for the next generations and made me curious. Curiosity killed the cartoonist. There was no way I'd have a 17-year-old stay at my place, maybe not 18 even. I was forward projecting to some unknown future where COVID lockdowns were finished and we could see people again. And it wasn't even with sex in mind. but simply saying that there's a there's a bed here to crash, like the kindness that was given to me a bunch of times when I was starting out. Um, quote, Sein fair in town, um, come crash. Let's see. Ask Liana Fink or anyone who's come to visit. It doesn't mean sex. When I asked if she could keep a secret, it was because I was sharing some Red Room pages before announcing the book and was just trying to sound cool. Tone is missing. When I said naughty girl, it was sarcastic after she told me some simple crime or infraction she committed. The whole pile of my DMs she collected to show is just awful to look at. I'm sorry I wasn't trying to offer professional favors to anybody or use my, in quotes here, position, in parentheses, what a joke, to get into anyone's pants. We're all in the art game, so why not introduce new friends to old friends? When I was bringing up any professional stuff to anybody, it was just common ground conversation. Then seeing these DMs even further out of context on other news outlets and media sites, Matt P. at the in brackets Pittsburgh City paper, you know what you did to skew your narrative. Bleep you. But they surely gave themselves their own plausible deniability by asking me for comment right as I'm trying not to jump off a bridge or something. Molly Wright is a conundrum to me, and her actions border criminal. He said, she said never looks good, but none of what she said happened. And I can't believe she'd be so malicious and pile on like this. Now that I'm officially checked out, I think my family has a civil lawsuit and has and she should be held accountable. She pushed. Okay, so I can see why people thought this was a suicide note.
Yeah.
She pushed this over the edge into quote unquote multiple women territory. It's so corny. I absolutely never asked for a blowjob in trade for anything ever. She successfully made me look stupid, and everybody accepted her word as fact, which again is another problem with all this Me Too garbage. Um, Citizens of the internet are playing such dangerous games with people's lives. I never had anyone lined up for an open relationship with her. I never was interested in a relationship with her. We had sex twice, and she initiated both times. I guess she's talking about Molly here. He's talking about Molly here.
Yeah.
The first time was a surprise. When we were done, could that maybe be buyer's remorse? Maybe, unfortunately.
Yeah. Who knows?
Watching
Maybe
a
sort of
movie
as all
or, or just hanging out. Parentheses. I don't exactly remember the circumstances. 4 years ago. In parentheses, she jumped on me and started kissing me, telling me how comfy I made her feel. We quit hanging out during COVID lockdown, but kept in touch here and there, and I thought things ended naturally. Thankfully, her post, including the piece about me dissing Jim Rugg, super emotional, quote unquote, bleep Ed Piscor type language, and the Red Room sales stuff portray she's a petty woman, scorned, punitive, and false. My house was burning, and she threw gasoline on it. There needs to be recourse for my loved ones. I'm dead. I don't have a reason to lie. Hold Molly Wright accountable, please. Reputation destruction is her form of aggression. And there and there were very real consequences. My lawyer is Harris Miller. Is it possible to subpoena all text and DMs I had with her? Big Titty Taff, Big Titty Taff? Yeah, I would draw you naked all day and never apologize for wanting to. I like drawing tits and bad dudes when I'm not drawing comics. I'm a solitary guy, and I've put every ounce of my time and life into my work for around the past 20 years. I never felt satisfied with my skill, so I constantly worked really hard and tied it all to my identity and self worth. Every waking moment was spent working, and ideally, I thought it would be best to have all friends who share the same passion. It's why I offered to introduce them to my friends. It's like my cherished Japan trips, introducing Koenji Shan to Brian Moss, and Moss to Scheme to Danica. Um, I was the only person who knew everybody on the trip, and by the end of it, we were all friends. Social media was how I met people. Did you have a phone just ring, Rick?
Just tell me I had a notification.
Uh, my greatest relationship began at the end of COVID, thanks to meeting on Instagram. A rocky but amazing 3-year relationship with someone who taught me true love. That said, I'm so glad we broke things off when we did, so she doesn't get any slack. She's way better off. Hope you're well, Clam. Um, I never stopped loving you. This all happened before I knew you. Now it's all gone. Art show evaporated. Was about to sign a $75,000 deal for Switchblade Shorties with Abrams. Cartoonist kayfabe ends with Jimmy's shocking revelations statement. Those words hurt. I have no friends in this life any longer. I'm a disappointment to everybody who liked me. I'm a pariah. News organizations at my door and hassling my elderly parents. It's too much. Putting out addresses on TV and the internet, how could I ever go back to my small town where everybody knows me? Some good people reached out and tried to help me through this whole thing, but I'm just not strong enough. The instinctual part of my brain knows that I'm no longer part of the tribe. I'm exiled and banished. I'm giving into my instinct and fighting them at the same time. Self preservation has lost out from the sound of everybody's voice. I think we all knew this was the conclusion. Jim Rugg came to my house unsolicited and gave me a hug and told me he loves me. If you knew Jimmy, you know how huge that is. I'm sorry to my family for making such a mess, no pun intended, and for creating this hassle. I wasn't trying to be a creep. I'm also sorry to everyone who got this note and the baggage that may or may not come with it on how well we knew each other. I knew I wasn't going to be able to survive this. Comics is beyond a profession to me, it's everything. That might sound sad and pathetic to some, but this culture and medium gave me the greatest joy in life. No public statements would do. Nobody against me would be convinced. As was pointed out in the headline there, in the article title. Maybe this drastic move will convince a few. Maybe it will get a couple more people to consider not joining online lynch mobs over gossip. Doubt it will have much of a blip. I'm not doing this out of guilt, though. Once again, it was super dumb chatting with Molly D. The first Molly Dwyer, I guess is who he's. My intentions were never nefarious with her or anybody. I'm doing it out of intense shame. We're not built to have hundreds, maybe a few thousand people judging and or harassing us at once. A private and solitary mind can't take it.
I can agree with that.
There were so many out there waiting in the wings for something like this to emerge. Daryl Io Braithwaite called it a kill shot. You all got your wish. You were waiting for something to blow out of proportion, and it got served to you on a silver platter. Ramon Villalobos, Cam Del Rosario, J.B. Rowe, Molly Wright. Congratulations, you got your pound of flesh. Evan Dorkin, I hope skeletons from your closet get revealed someday. Alex DeCampi, may you continue to have zero success no matter how hard you continuously leverage other people's business for your bully pulpit. The very next morning, after Molly D posted the screen caps, I put my last will in testament together. I think it's supposed to be and testament. Freewill.com. Great service in a pinch. These are the papers I was trying to hide from you. Jimmy, when you came by with soup, I actually found a nice lady and witnesses who notarized it, made it official on a Sunday morning. How's that for efficiency? It's sitting on my brown desk in the corner. Mom, Dad, Bob, JP, and Bree, I'm sorry. Mom, Dad, get this will of mine straight and move into a nice home. That doesn't have many stairs. Leave whatever you don't use the rest of your lives. You don't use the rest of your lives to my siblings. Daddy hit me up this morning and wanted me to come home, but it's just too far gone. It was great hearing your voice today, also, Mama. The shame will never go away. Please make good use of what I've built up and take comfort for the rest of your years. This will give my life and this tragedy of events some positive meaning. These are the files for Switchblade Shorties. Please download it, and maybe a book deal can be made for my heirs. Bob McCoy was my agent, and we were supposed to sign a $75,000 contract with Abrams. Maybe in death, after I explain myself, it will be something they won't balk at. And again, the culture is sick enough that maybe a bidding war among publishers will push the price up even higher. Bob, can you try to get... Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I was just going to say, unfortunately, it might also just go down, not end up happening at all, too.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing just outright sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is sad. This is sad. Something has to be done about this. The pendulum went way too far to the other side here. Okay?
Yeah.
These women basically destroyed this man. And we don't even know really for what.
Well, the one, just because if she's telling the truth, thought he was creepy. She, if he's telling the truth, she misinterpreted what he was doing. You know, uh, because I don't know what's true, what's not. For
Mhm.
sure. It's, it's just you're right. It's sad, and it's all possibly due to misinterpretation of things.
Mhm.
And
Bob, oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
Bob, can you try to get my folks a sweet deal? My family can use the money. Please download these files ASAP while my Google Drive exists. Um, but they are also on the portable hard drive in my backpack that I had with me during my final act. Don't let the cops keep it forever. I brought my data with me so that it would be easy to find. Redacted. Um, there's a black hardcover sketchbook full of autobiographical comics on my brown desk. Standing up in the hutch next to the drawing tablets that I intended to see print when I passed away. I didn't put anything in my will where that's concerned, but hopefully it can find a publisher and get released. It was what we were gonna do with Fantagraphics under the title Mudfish. I didn't sign any paperwork on that with Fanta. So Bob Fantagra is that the comic company or is that well no because I'm thinking Phantom was
Well,
Collective.
anti-graphics, what he referred to just in the other line about Mudfish, he's just saying he didn't sign any paper with Fantagraphics.
Yeah, Fanta. So Bob, maybe you can help my parents there too. I realized that I didn't make any notes in the will about my authored books and intellectual properties. Jim Rugg, can you maybe help make sure my people don't get jacked by the publishers? I haven't got my HHFT omnibus royalties, so my family should be getting a good check soon. Can someone make sure to hold Fantagraphics accountable with my royalties, and perhaps an audit of their accounting books is in order also to see if I got all that was coming to me? Eric Reynolds gave me no benefits of doubt, and I don't know if Fanta'd be tricky about my stuff in death. His suspicions of me make me suspicious of them. That's the thing that sucks about going through this. You don't know who your friends are. Jimmy, can you also post our unlisted videos and make our private streams to Patreon live to the public? That's the perception I want to leave. A dude having fun talking comics with his brother. Please keep cartoonist kayfabe up and monetized, and share half the loot with my family each year. Maybe schedule the vids each day, as we did for years until our roster is complete. Don't dissolve the LLC, but split the take with my heirs. Oh, yeah, and I was avoiding the internet as much as possible, mostly relying on some friends who relayed me info here and there. I was not using burner sock puppets accounts to try to defend or attack. Hopefully, those accounts will still tweet a bit so that you guys believe that at least maybe someone can dig up IP addresses to confirm. Yeah, so I guess he's saying that somebody was trying to somebody was trying to maybe set him up there. Almost sounds like.
Yeah.
Wow, we're already at the 2 hour mark.
Yeah.
But I really do. I mean, I won't. I'm not gonna do this whole article again, only because it's just way too long. Even for the Sunday show, even for the Sunday.
Yeah.
So, but if we do talk about it, if it does come up in conversation, we'll we could probably relate back to this. But I think this guy got screwed over here. It's what a week. I wouldn't wish this bleep on my worst enemy. Leave it to me to get into trouble without ever leaving the house. I don't have email addresses for any of my family. Please get the message to them. My phone is fully charged and it's on, so I'm sure it can be pinged, and tracked by first responders. I have a battery pack case, so the phone should be on for a few hours at the very least. My phone number 412-915-4501, license plate JFA 8859. I'm wearing a black hoodie, maybe a black pea coat, black Dickies Tarek Continental boots. Hey, mom and dad, Liz's rent is $675. She just paid up through April. Let her move her man in with her if they take that step. Keep the house. It's not too shabby, and we'll bring in a trickle of income each month. Anastasia James.
Okay, one sec. Elk says, I'd like to hear the rest of the note. I couldn't find it on Facebook. Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's there. I know this.
Well, I think they deleted it. I think he did event. They screenshot this before, but I think it was eventually. I think it was deleted.
Yeah, except for the redacted part. Maybe you can put a link into the chat after we're done here for the article. That way he can read it right on there.
Well, I mean, actually, I can. I mean, I can do that right now. Here's the link to that article if you want to read it for yourself there. Granted, it's quite a lengthy article there, but but that should.
And Elk says, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. I figured, But anyways, let's head back to try to. Again, I'm not going to do this just simply because it's it's kind of long, and we're going through this already, so I don't think I need to do it twice. But but it's still some pretty good meat here, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it just seems now he's going through all the financial stuff, which I guess is all right. But if you want to not go through the rest of the financial stuff,
yeah, it looks like. Well, I guess we can skip through some of it. Let's see. Once again, I'm guilty of being stupid, no doubt. But that's all. I never thought in a million years that I'd take this step, but I also never in a million years thought that something so Orwellian would ever happen to me. You never know. Whatever happened to me, you never know in this life. I was murdered by internet bullies. Massive amounts of them. Some of you out there absolutely contributed to my death as you were entertaining yourself with gossip. I wasn't AI. I was a real human being. You chipped little bits of my self-esteem away all week until I was vaporized. Maybe I'll be able to haunt you dorks as a ghost. I come from gypsy heritage, and I'm definitely cursing a lot of you. Now I have heard of some, I don't know if you've seen some of these like ghost story reality shows,
Yeah,
where you go out and look for a ghost. I have actually heard some stories of people claiming that ghosts have actually come back to assault them. You know,
yeah,
so this is the calmest I felt all week. It's over for me. I'm sorry for the hurt it'll cause my family and closest buds. Um, I hope it makes people think twice when joining an internet feeding frenzy. There you have it. Control freak till the last. Peace out. P.S. There's $852 in my wallet, cash, in case the Jakes get sticky fingers and steal my bleep. Eddie P. 1982 to 2024. Pitchcourt's passing would later be confirmed by his sister, Justine Cleaves, who on April 1st wrote to her personal Facebook page, quote, "It is with the most broken heart that I share my big brother Ed has passed away today. Please just keep our family in your prayers, as this is the hardest thing we've ever had to go through." Offering his own statement on Piskor's passing, his brother, Bobby Piskor, wrote to Facebook, editor's note, as above, in the interest of avoiding undue monetization, Bobby's words will be shared as a block of quote text. And we're not going to read all that. I think we get the gist of everything there.
yeah. And anybody who wants to read it can go to
Right.
the site, which
I
we'll
hope
link
you
in there.
enjoyed the love letter. It was made with you in mind. Sincerely, Eddie P. And I mean, yeah, this is just total BS. You know,
Yeah,
it's like the pendulum has swung too far to the other side. I mean, yeah, I know there was a history in time when women weren't believed. You know, people never took the woman seriously, but this has gone way overboard, way too far there. You know,
yeah, yeah. True. There was that. I think the problem here is it doesn't matter whether it's a guy or a girl posting on uh, social media. If you post stuff like this on social media about anybody, especially a celebrity, um, they're going to get lambasted. Uh, no, they weren't always believed. If you take biblical times, it took two women to equal one man's um, thing in court back then. Heck, over in the Middle East, it's still that. Well, not all the Middle East. Certain countries in the Middle East, it's still that way.
Mhm.
Men can hit you and take your stuff. I'm not sure what you mean, elk, but yeah, men and women are both bad. We're all sinners. We're all idiots. We can all be nasty. And I think if we don't think that we can't, yeah, sometimes we think the others can be as nasty or nastier. Women like to make other men give them what they want. Yeah, true, true. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, sometimes, guys do it to girls, obviously not as much as, girls do use the power of their sexuality for men on men a lot of times. And it's been done throughout history too, I will admit. You know, guys can unfortunately sometimes simp too much for women. And You know, that's really the guy's fault too, as much when he's Simpson, he'll do anything for her. You know,
Well, I mean, Ed there even kind of and kind of acknowledged that he felt like he was being stupid for even getting into this situation. You know.
yeah,
So, anyways, enough of that for now because I think we talked quite a bit about that. I think we all have the same general feeling of how we feel about this situation. It's
yeah.
very sad. It's a lot of it's just BS. It sounds like a lot of people, contrary to what she thinks, or what she says,
A lot of people made stupid
Wire sat
decisions.
there and destroyed this man for no reason.
I think it comes down to a lot of people made stupid decisions. He said he made stupid decisions. She definitely made stupid decisions just by putting it out there, you know, uh, and not letting things be investigated or whatever. Yeah, it destroyed him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, anyways, okay. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the wrestling wrap up real quick here, and we're gonna really wrap things up because we've gone well over the time. So, that I
yeah,
intended.
and that was wrong of him too.
Normally I have the 2 hour shows for the weekends. Not during the week, but this was just something.
Yeah,
There was a lot of meat here. A lot of meat. A lot, a
yeah,
lot of,
there was a lot
lot
of
of good
content.
discussion here over what happened here. I
Yeah.
may even go back because I know Ethan. I guess did a I know Ethan did a stream on it the day that all this is going down. I may even go back see what he has to say about it. Just
It's
good
like,
night.
good night. It was worth the time. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, I'd say it was too.
Yeah,
Especially getting
yeah.
to
As I
know.
said, the discussion it was a good discussion. Again, I I like having these discussions because it's one of those things where I think we really have to sit down and stop and we have to talk about this intelligently and really think prospectively. It's like
Yeah,
because a lot of this stuff that's been happening like the last 5, 6, 7 years here with all this stuff with the Me Too and all that, it's just
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, and there's something that Alp said. Like Ed, he was part of trying to cancel EBS or canceled him or was one of the people.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I guess he didn't realize. If you're going to cancel somebody over something, it's likely that they can cancel you over
yeah,
for something.
yeah. I mean, again, I didn't even know who the guy was, so um,
Yeah.
until all this went down. So
Says this is the journey marker. Comics will either change or be disgraced forever. For sure.
yeah. Well, anyways, so quick little update. Of course, as we said, WWE will have WrestleMania this weekend. We'll talk more about that. The card for tonight on tonight's AEW Dynamite. The following matches are happening on tonight's episode of Dynamite. In a battle between members of the Don Callis family, Powerhouse Hobbs and Will Ospreay will be taking on each other. Bryan Danielson takes on Lance Archer. Billy Gunn, 1/3 of the AEW World Trios champions, takes on 1/3 of the Ring of Honor six-man tag team champions, Jay White of Bullet Club. In the first of two semifinal matches for the AEW World Tag Team title, the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, take on team of best friends of Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy, and Thunder Rosa takes on Mariah May in a number one contenders match to see who will be taking on Tony Storm at the Dynasty pay per view on April 21st later this month. So that's all. That's all I have for the wrestling rabbit because we're trying to really speed things along here because we're already well past the 2 hour mark. We can call this a special edition because we basically went long. But anyway, so now with all that being said, today is Wednesday, April the 3rd, 2024. So let's take a look back This day in Nietzsche history.
In Nietzsche history.
Let's see, 99, 99, 94, and 84. Okay. So, first off, we head back 40 years ago today, as on this date back in 1984. This date back in 1984. The 345th issue of Thor from Marvel Comics went on sale on this date back in 1984. Of course, this started out as Journey into Mystery, I believe. But it sold for 60 cents, was 32 pages. The story was There Was No Lady, written and drawn by Walter Simonson, with lettering done by Johnny Workman Jr. and Christy Scheel did the coloring. So on this date, 40 years ago today, the 345th issue of Thor from Marvel Comics went on sale on this date.
Hey, look, this is the mighty Thor, and it's not a woman.
Yeah. So, anyways, getting ready to move on to the next piece of Nietzsche history here. Let's see if I did this right. Yeah. On this date in 1994, 30 years ago today, released in first run syndication was and we were talking about this the other day, how there wasn't a whole lot of Easter specials because it wasn't marketed as much. Well, here's an Easter special for you. Yogi the Easter Bear was actually released in first run
Yogi the Easter Bear.
Yeah. On this date, 30 years ago today, Yogi the Easter Bear, an obvious Easter special produced by Hanna-Barbara, was released in first run syndication on this date 30 years ago today. So there we go with that.
Cool.
Now moving ahead to 1999. On this date in 1999, 25 years ago today, ECW held its Cyber Slam event from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, of course, the ECW Arena is now known as the 2300 Arena, but the main event of the night saw an Ultimate Jeopardy Steel Cage 6-man tag match. You saw the Dudley Boys of Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley team with former Gangsta member Mr. Mustafa defeat the 3-man team of Axel Rotten, Balls Mahoney, and New Jack. And yes, that was his name, Balls Mahoney. And the theme that he and Axel Rotten would come out to was called Big Balls. I'm not kidding you.
I can believe that.
Yeah. In a singles match, Shane Douglas defeated Just Incredible. Taz retained the World Heavyweight title in a Falls Count Anywhere match against Chris Candido. Rob Van Dam retained the ECW World Television title over Too Cold Scorpio. Taka Michinoku defeated Papi Chulo. The night started off with Jerry Lynn defeated Yoshihiro Tajiri. So 25 years ago today, ECW Cyber Slam happened from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia. And 1999 is just so nice that we're going to hit it twice. As also on this date, back in 1999, Studio Pierrot's Power Stone premiered on Japanese television on this date back in 1999. So 25 years ago today, Studio Pierrot's, which also was the company that did Yu Hakusho, Bleach, among others, Power Stone premiered on Japanese television on this date back in 1999. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Well, actually, before we go, Rick, did you want to do an outro before we left?
No. Well, I'll just say, go check out my channel, go check out my videos. Yeah.
All right. So we'll wrap up then. So everybody, we'll be back here tomorrow. Now, of course, tomorrow night, that's Thursday. That's the Indie Comic Showcase. We'll have Tim on with me, I believe. And then Friday, of course, we'll be doing our historical comic retrospect. RJ Carter from Critical Blast will be joining me, as we will be going over books that went on sale from Harvey Comics, under different publisher names, of course, on this date, from February of 1940. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.